showed some sort of return to form. A try assist, 5 tackles and 133 metres. Joe Cater keeps working his socks off, 61 tackles, 15 of which were marker tackles. Jordan Johnston had a try assist, 51 tackles, 15 marker tackles. No Danny Houghton here, but Johnson just turned around and said, yeah, mate, I've got it covered. And Jake Connor, 1 try, 2 try assists, 3 clean breaks. For the losing Cast side, Greg Eden with a try, 152 metres, 2 clean breaks. Junior Moores, 159 metres. James Clare, 1 try assist, 103 metres. And Mike McMeekan, 2 tries. And we got a good bunch of fan reviews in on this one. Everyone sort of back to that comfortable Thursday night, one match to watch slot. They knew the drill this time, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And Carsten says, I'm just following the Twitter feed, but I hope Uncle Rob, by which I assume he means Fat Boy Rob, sends a game review because, geez, he's fuming.
No, he hasn't sent one in. Steve Fire said, another up and down game that I thought FC had managed to throw away at the end until a moment of quality from Snide and Connor. It made a pleasant change for the opposition's discipline to be much worse than ours. Defence still a bit soft, but I'll take any sort of win in what was an entertaining game.
Always in our shadow says, Buchanan going off injured was the moment the game changed. Grubby late shots was Cassie's undoing. Connor moving from 6 became more influential as the game progressed.
Joshua's granddad said, Cass defeat leads to the obligatory dummy spit. If he coached his team to cut out the late shots and general shithousery, maybe they might get a result. And forced change for FC turned out well with Jake have more freedom. Big game and bigger smile from Chicken Satire. Impressive debut from Ben Mack, capped off with a try. Not afraid to put body on light defensively. Still too many errors, but moving in the right direction.
Tom Andrews, I'm not sure, is Tom allowed to comment on Hull games?
Oh yeah,
don't know
if anything it's funnier.
Don't know what was more enjoyable, Google box or the game itself. Not often I'll enjoy an FC win, but the potential for an excellent post-match interview made it worth it. Seriously, if your coach is giving off the ref-hating vibes, your team will be the same. Too many stupid penalties and poor fifth tackle options cost Cass.
And Pop the Viking said, a good win for Hull. Powell moaning about the Johnston try, but you should always play to the whistle.
Mm-hmm.
So although discipline was an issue for Cass in this game, and I think Matt Cutt was a little bit the unlucky kind of recipient of the yellow card because he was the third person to throw in a late challenge in about a 10-minute spell, rather than Matt Cook's being particularly egregious in its own rights. But it didn't really lead to any charges for all those late hits from Cass because they were late but probably just about didn't take people's heads off. So Andre Savelio, though, got a grade B use of the knees charge, 1 match penalty notice for him. Yeah, Daryl Powell is a miserable bastard, isn't he?
Yes, isn't he? He's until pretty much halfway through last season, I'd never really thought of him that way, but I must be getting him down because he's every game he seems to be getting more and more cheesed off with the referee and his teams. I suppose I have seen him throw the odd tantrum before, but anyway, it's not going well for them this year, and probably not as well as Powell hoped it would, and it certainly seemed to be showing in him. I watched the highlights I did watch the highlights of this game, and a lot of it was seeing Powell sat in the stands, grumping away in the corner. But,
it was more about him than anyone. I mean, he got the compliance letter in the week based on his, about his comments from the week before. I think there's I'm not against people making fair and objective criticism of the referees because we should be able to make fair and objective criticism of the players too, and they're all out there on the same field. I think the difference is most of the criticism of the referees carries a weight of bias, whereas no one's biased for the referees because they haven't got a fan base behind them like the two sides have. So I think his comments went too far the week before. personally, although I do get his frustrations about some of the things. I think as a club, for Cass to sort of come out and say about all the bans people have picked up against their side for things that weren't particularly punished on the field of play, I understand why they're annoyed about those things, but I don't know what you think about it. But I think some of those challenges that have resulted in the big bans, and I mean more the two squirrel grip ones that like he pointed out as particular objectionable issues. I'm not sure that they have the time to stop the games, to spend enough time to figure out how deliberate, how specific, those are.
That's what the on-report system's there to do. The game's slowed down enough. We can't spend all that time. I mean, yes, I understand why any side would be cheesed off if something's happened where, particularly if a player's been injured and then nothing happens on the field, and then subsequently everyone decides that there was, something heinous went on and they ought to have been sent from the field in the first place. Then you're bound to feel a little bit miffed about it. But nevertheless,
there's an instance from the Wigan game with the headbutt issue with young Morgan Smithies that was missed live. That should have been a sin bin on the field. That one, I can say, there was a misstep of justice there. But the squirrel grip ones, I feel like it's hard for the referees, even with the video referee, to make the determinations, isn't it? During the heat of the battle on those ones, like you say, that's what we have another system, a backup system almost for.
It is. I mean, I'm wondering whether there's an underlying malaise here with Powell and Castleford. How long does his? Do you know? You probably don't know how long when his contract's due.
I think he's at Cass as long as he wants to be at Cass. I don't see them sacking him.
It's starting to feel to me like a bit of the end game here.
I don't think his frustrations with the club, though. I think his passion and stuff is still there with the club and with most of his group of players. I think his issue is like they're not achieving, are they, this year for different reasons? And he can get pissy and whingy about players not being available, but Jake Truman's not available through no fault of any opposition player or any match official. It's just bad luck, unfortunately. Liam Watts similarly, has missed a lot of games through bad luck, through no fault or blame of anyone else. And I just think it's a rise of frustration. I would hope that. I think he needs to be a bit more pragmatic. He tries to pretend he's pragmatic with fucking saying it is what it is so many fucking times. It makes me want to smash something through the television at him. Oh my days. I mean, I get it. People say it, and I say it, and everyone says it these days. But he says it four times to every answer.
Interview.
You know what I mean? I do. I think his players would appreciate a bit more positivity, a bit more vibrancy.
I wonder. I mean, I think in any walk in life, actually, when you're in a leadership position with other people, and largely the team stays the same, and largely this team has. There've been some comings and goings, obviously, as there is in any side, but largely the team says it can only go on so long before people stop hearing what you're saying when you're saying it for the umpteenth time, and that can get really frustrating. And I'm just wondering whether things may have reached a point where it's kind of a natural sort of end game here for Powell with Castleford, notwithstanding the fact that he could stay as long as he likes. I just think in any walk, and particularly in sport, when you've been there a long time, and he has been, I don't know how long he's been there now. It must be 6 years.
It was 2000. Was it 2013? Midway through that year.
7 years.
Because 14 was the year they got to the cup final, wasn't it?
It's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a long time for any leader to be leading a group of people, and in sport, 7 years is a long run. Particularly with not a huge amount of turnover in a side. And I'm wondering whether, anyway.
I just think if anyone's written off this year I think just the way he commented on the points percentage thing, like it was a big fucking change, that was some sort of problem that Cass would have to overcome. He treated it like it was a problem. He hasn't treated anything this year like it's something it's not treated anything like a challenge. He's treated it all like a problem. And they have had some bad luck, and they have lost close games, and there is frustrations there. But I think he's filtered that through to his playing staff too much now, and this game was the perfect example of it.
Yeah, I agree. I can't remember now exactly who made that comment. It might have been I'm just but yeah, if you start making those sorts of comments in public, it's bound to impact on you, on your players and those around you. If you can't be positive and treat things as a challenge, then your players won't either. And
one of the things he's moaned about was like the late hits on Danny Richardson, or the perceived late hits on Danny Richardson in the St Helens game. The St Helens players did get physical at Danny Richardson and push the line of what the match official would pull up in that game, I think. But by making an issue out of it and doing it the way he's done it and stuff, it's almost like he's said to his players, go out and do that because you can get away with it, while simultaneously saying to the refs, keep an eye on this. So what actually happened in this game was his players kept charging in with late hits after late hits, and his big issue in this game was all the players, the play not being blown up after all the players jumped in after the And the quote from him, I think, was, it's been caused by the Hull player, not caused by any wrongdoing by the Cass player. But actually what happened is, I think it was Griffin. No, it was young Jax O'Neill, actually, hit Joe Cater very late. So Joe Cater got up and wanted to start something, which happens when people get hit late and they think they can look after themselves when they get up. What then happened is Cass's left edge defence couldn't cope with Hull's right edge attack, and by the time they got it back into the middle, there was no one left for Cass because they were all bothered about this niggle in the middle, whereas Hull, 2 or 3 of their players had broken away from that and played to the whistle, and I think that's again a symptom of it. But what Powell got to do was just come out and whinge after the game about the decision and not stopping the play because poor my team, which is just justifying his team's behaviour in that instance, which then just covers this whole point. And I do think he's still got lots to offer at Cass. I do think that this is a short-term thing, but I do think he has to stop letting this mindset get into his players' heads because it cost him this match.
Yeah, they did, particularly in tight games like this. Every percent counts, and you can't afford for your team to feel like they're victims. It doesn't help.
No. Positively for Cass, we have to mention the dummy step and put down from standing standoff Grant Millington. I mean, lovely stuff for a guy who's normally a front rower out there playing in the standoff position and isolating the defender and getting around him on the line. But if we're going to talk positives, it's Jake Connor, isn't it?
Yeah, had a good game, didn't he?
He got 3 Man of Steel points. McShane got 2. Sneyd got 1. In the League Express Albert Golf Hub, Connor got 3. Sneyd got 2 and Eden got 1. And Connor and Sneyd were the main men, but Connor in particular.
Yeah.
What did you make of his performance, and what did you make of the move to fullback for him?
It gives him a bit, because we've had this debate before, haven't we, about what's Connor's best position, and I've been very much of the opinion that putting him in the centres isn't the answer. I'd prefer to see him at standoff. I think full-back is maybe an even better solution, because he gets a little bit more space to play when he's there, and nowadays, full-back is glorified half-back as long as you can catch the ball and organise the defence a bit. So it might be a good answer to see him there. It certainly was in this game.
It's tricky for them because they've got Shaw, who's such a good fullback. He's been a a dream team fullback in the past. But I do agree, Connor is his most effective position to me is probably fullback. It was where Huddersfield saw him before he moved on.
Yeah, and sure or not, Connor is probably the most talented player